Hello, 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 and welcome to another wonderful Wednesday webinar. We're here with Scott and Emma from the Rewild project, and absolutely amazing project they're working on. I met them at the Green Gathering, and a whole wide range of rewilding skills and projects and things they're working on. Going to share with us tonight. And we need to rewild the planet, and as well as the planet and the land, the humans as well, I think, is part of the Rewild project. But Scott and Emerald, tell us more. Thank you so much for coming, guys, and sharing your wisdom. Over to you.
Thanks for having us, Phoenix.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to share the screen. Okay.
So can everyone see that? We've got a cool,
Yeah.
nice one. We've got a few technical difficulties. The camera just packed up on the laptop, so we're running 2 different Zoom channels, if you like.
Yeah.
I'm Scott Bain, one of the original founders and directors.
I'm Emma Gleave. I've been involved for about 4 years now. So this is just a bit of an introduction to what we're going to go through. We're going to basically do past, present, future, what we've done in the past, and what our projects have been, and our story, where we're up to now, and our plans for the future. Okay, over to you.
So yeah, Rewild's a bit of a funny one, really, because I kind of got into it through Green Anarchy and civilization, or these sort of rewild. The original term is to return to a more natural or wild state, and the sort of process of undoing domestication. And then George Monbiot came along and wrote Feral, which is an excellent book, but he kind of forgot to include humans. And we are one of the sort of apex predators,
Keystone species.
That he goes on and on about, but then it's just a bit. We'll touch on this a little bit more as well. We've got a lot of slides, so we'll be flying through this fast and furious.
Okay.
So ADHD.
Scott, one quick technical. Maybe on your phone, if you just switch off the video, your bandwidth will be slightly better, because I've heard pretty much most of that, but a couple of bits that went choppy. Yeah, okay. Perfect.
Yeah, so we started back in 2015, and that was around a need, like most places, for connection to nature. And you'd think that somewhere like the Forest of Dean, there would be like connection to nature projects, but there's pretty much nothing. We'll touch on a bit more, but the Forest of Dean is like one of the most deprived areas in Gloucestershire, and it's got the highest mental health cases in Gloucestershire as well. And it often gets forgotten about, and it's very sort of a touristy place. So we wanted to do something for the community in building real, true resilience.
So this was just a little bit of a timeline. So if we can send this slideshow out later, people can kind of read through that if they want to.
So a lot went on, really. It's been really intense 8 years. And at one point we were basically running 15 projects with about sort of 20 staff at one point. And most staff were getting paid more than the directors as usual, classic community project. So yeah, we weren't doing it for the money, obviously. But the rewilding the people bit and the landscapes, it is really important that people are included. And, people bang on about the survival needs and the survival order, and shelter is a massive one. And so is water and food. So, there was nothing like this was, being addressed at all. Even so now, really, there's very few projects, and the Rewild term is just being used for everything. And we were pretty much one of the original ones to bring it in.
So yeah, just to say that this is kind of the aim of the project, is helping people to find their niche in nature, and that comes through, we will go on to this, like the heritage craft skills and connecting to the elements in nature. So this was the structure and areas of work that we've been working with over the past 8 years, really, isn't it? So there's 6 different areas: health and well-being, the heritage craft skills was the biggest area, land skills was another big area, eco building, building our own homes, taking things from nature to put shelter over our heads, the forestry, teaching people how to go into the woodland and interact with that in a positive way. We've been doing this for millennia, and species have evolved alongside us, alongside coppicing. There wouldn't be any dormice and different species of plants and flowers in our woodlands if it wasn't for the way that we've been interacting with them over the millennia. And then eco events and celebrating the cycles of the earth as well comes into that. So we're going to whiz through many of the projects that we've done over the years. Do you want to talk?
Just a little bit longer. Sorry, guys, another technical. Just a little bit longer on the slide so that we can read everything and see the amazing pictures. The last one, a little bit more there. Yeah.
So
there's a lot of slides, so we're going to be fast.
I see. Okay, keep going at your pace. All right.
We can send it out as well. We can send out the slideshow.
But you're also recording it as well, which is great for the YouTube channel. So one of our projects were springs and wells of the Forest of Dean. A lot of people talk about food sovereignty. We also think water sovereignty is probably very high up there. And there's an ancient well that's in the north part of the forest. It's basically been abandoned for about 15 years and into a state of disrepair. And a lot of broken glass, a million hippie trinkets, loads of like debris from around. And we spent like 2 days cleaning it out with the community. And then we also made a map of the springs and wells in the Forest of Dean, because we primarily live on wild water, and a lot of people in the forest do just use wild water.
Okay.
We also did a sensory garden for a special needs home, a usual thing, building it from very little to an amazing space now. It's probably a 100K worth sensory garden.
And that's full of edible, perennial plants, so forest garden style, things that are useful and things that don't need planting every season. So yeah,
but yeah,
so it's really important to design landscapes in a way that people can interact easily with them, that are low maintenance, and yeah, easy and useful plants.
We also did the Burial Community Orchard, and that was a campaign protection rural England award winner, and it was very grassroots. These 2 first projects we basically did for free to try and put us on the map in the Forest of Dean, and it was at the permaculture orchard.
Oh no! I see my pants.
What's happened? Hello.
Oh, what was that?
There?
Yeah.
Hello.
I might. Okay, I might just mute unless anyone says anything urgent there. I think it's just some noise in the background. Carry on. I'll mute.
But yeah, so we basically follow a lot of permaculture.
Oh shit! Sorry, I've remarked the wrong one. Hold on. You need to unmute. Scott, you need to unmute. Carry on.
You muted everyone. That's cool. So we part of the permaculture. Part of the permaculture approach that we adopt is about sort of public consultation is a big part of it, and actually finding out what people want instead of trying to impose our ideas on them. Village Reg was a really nice idea, but COVID kind of put an end to it, because we were going into people's gardens who wanted to join a network of other growers, because they've got very big gardens in the Forest of Dean, because generally they were cut off before the bridges were made and they had to be pretty much self-sufficient. So West Dean Parish Council, we teamed up with them and Village Veg, and basically proposed an idea of doing surveying around the village and finding out how many people on their garden would be willing for us to come in to put a plot in, support them growing for the season, and then sharing their produce. And also we try and support them with new plants.
Next one.
We also really eco building kind of links in with our new leaf, turning a new leaf social forestry project. We were coppicing a few areas that was neglected. There's a lot of neglected coppice, lots of issues of fencing with deer, squirrels, rabbits, all of the other pests that are quite a challenge. So building simple, tiny homes using local produced, locally sort of regenerated wood is really key. It's just a bit of a no nonsense, really.
So the finished cabin that you can see in the centre at the top is one that Scott built in Sweden, was it?
Yeah.
And we wanted to replicate that with local wood. So the other pictures are a workshop that we ran over 5 days on our forest garden allotment, teaching people these skills, using axes to make notches and slot the wood together.
But also we were offering it a really, really affordable reason. We don't turn anyone away. And we were basically, I think was it 5 days? It was like 130 quid or something, the lowest ticket, and you got fed all day in the bed stay. It's just, it's really key to us. Emma should do this.
So we got the opportunity. We was invited from the local council to run holiday clubs, and we just thought it'd be an amazing space to bring the kids into at the forest garden allotment. And that was about 3 or 4 years ago, actually, when I first got involved, and it's just gone from strength to strength. It's brought so much energy into the plot. So we have them from 9:30 till 3:30. We cook together, we pick food on the plot, and the kids are involved in all the chopping. We have risky play, they have real tools, hammers, saws, all sorts. Yeah, they love digging holes, and yeah, we do heritage crafts with them. So we do felting and leather work and all the crafts that we do. So we've created some amazing jobs. We pay all our staff £15 an hour for that, which is kind of unheard of in the industry. But hell, let's get money from these councils and get it out to the people. I refuse to buy anything from supermarkets for this as well. It's just crazy how many of these projects are taking money from councils and pouring it into supermarkets or caterers that are just bringing single-use plastics, and it's so easy to do. Anyway, yeah, I'm waffling. Scott's hurrying me on. But that's something I'm really passionate about. Here's some of the workshops that we've run in the past: traditional tool maintenance, firewood preparation, introduction to green woodwork, grow your own first aid kit with a herbalist, fermentation, that's with Scott, hedgerow wine with Scott, foraging with local foragers, getting the money back to local people with these skills. We've got making your own sheepskin, we've done bone making, mushroom foraging, fish skin tanning. Scott is one of the few tanners in the UK, natural organic hide tanning. Making the most of your deer, we take a local deer from a local hunter and teach people how to process that and honour the whole animal. Shall I carry on?
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, home education group. We got money from Foresters Forest to run craft and land nature connection.
Stop.
Yep. Stop.
Come on. Amazing projects you're doing, guys. Absolutely incredible.
Thanks. So yeah, just more pictures there, crafts with the kids.
I guess yeah, and we also realized there was a massive need for people who are vulnerable in the community. So we had it's weird, there's this suddenly like influx of social prescribers, environmental navigators, or social navigators, but they were getting paid but sending people to us but not giving us any money. So we teamed up with Barnwood Trust, and they funded our try it out Tuesdays. So we basically did different crafts on Tuesdays, and sometimes did some land skills, and we picked people up in our own minibus. It's all free, all paid for. Bring them to the centre, community craft centre. We would work with them, show them the skills, cook a nutritious, warm meal together, do some more crafts, and then take them home in the minibus. And we had like a WhatsApp group, a support group as well. And it was booming. And people, it's so beautiful to have something that people can self-refer to. And then we could track how they were as well. We made them fully transparent and aware that, we're going to try and show that these people, and that these people want to show that they're feeling a lot more better about themselves and feel some purpose in their life. So like I said, Forest of Dean's got a lot of mental health issues going on. But also, like, what we're mostly known for is our tannery organic traditional. So we try to make use of waste. Ultimately, waste is a horrible term for anything, really, especially animal. So we use a lot of roadkill, because around the Forest of Dean there's a lot of roadkill, deer and boar, and then we also, some hunters we get for events, we sometimes have to go to a local hunter, a compassionate hunter, who is basically controlling numbers of deer. It's pretty much overrun in the Forest of Dean. Pretty much a lot of Britain is overrun, which kind of frustrates me that we're queuing for food banks and people are eating tinned vegetables when, these foods could be quite easily go back into the system. But I'm not going to get onto that. But yeah, I mean, tannery, bark tan, the picture on the left of me in a bark tanning pit using the bark from trees is one of the oldest crafts, and it's on the red list of endangered crafts about to be made extinct, with the what they called the
Heritage Craft Association.
Yeah, the Heritage Association. So we're quite known for this kind of work, which often brings up really interesting conversations, and people are quite passionate one way or the other about it. But yeah, we can cover that later. So this is just showing people how to make use of sheepskins, how to make natural organic sheepskins.
Keep going, just meeting Jules there. This is incredible.
So we had a regular day for quite a few years called Woody Wednesdays, and it was all about green woodworking, and this tied into our New Leaf social forestry project, where we had people out there learning how to basically manage coppice, but also how to make use of the products as well, or turn them into a product. A bit more picture social forestry. And then we did a really nice project, and it's kind of still going. Growing futures, working in schools, growing veg, but also trying to incorporate more perennial edible systems. One of our kind of stars of the projects was the Rekindle youth program, Old Ways for Future Days. So with this, we created a craft and land skill qualification at OCN level 1, level 2. And it was predominantly aimed initially at schools with kids who are at the risk of exclusion. And this is the minibus behind that the kids sprayed up graffiti style. I think we haven't got a good picture of it actually, but yeah, it's pretty tidy. So the idea with this was to get a qualification for like 14-year-olds in craft and land skills. So to combine a project that we're doing on the land, but also with the traditional craft skills as well. And there was no sort of tests or exams, and it was just a lot of them sort of journaling or photoing their work. We also then worked with home education people, and we worked with excluded youth as well for alternative school provision, the so-called really naughty children, but they loved it. We had no issues really once we sorted out the ones that wanted to be there. So we were quite known for being on Country File. They featured us, and I had I think I was ripping into Matt Baker a bit, and it was interesting. It was good, a lot of work. So this is Kensley Sheds. This was a rundown shed, no roof on it, one skin wall, and I project managed it about 8 years ago to eco renovate it, and we retrofitted a huge Shift Bristol came along, a lot of our volunteers. We got funding to do it, but like it was very short. The funding was like everything. We put a new skin on it, so local Western Red Cedar, Waney edge cladding. So on the left bottom picture, you can see where the original wall was. We put a burner in it, put a kitchen in it, and that was our kind of craft centre that people could access and use, and we could run workshops from there as well. So then 2022, not the last winter solstice, the winter solstice before, the shit hit the fan. And recovering this bit. Yes, we are, aren't we? So trying to keep this long story, because it's a very long story, very short, is that the craft centre, we had it on a lease. Sorry, we didn't have it on a lease, we had it on a license. So the license was for every year. And often Forestry England were late to give us a license. We had issues with licensing for the coppice. They basically didn't really like us very much because we were making a real change in the community. And they were probably more interested in tourists and car parking charges and Gruffalo trails than they were actually building resilience in the community. A lot of people in Forest of Dean have got a 400-year chip on their shoulder against Forestry England or DEFRA or the government. We'll talk a bit more about that anyway. So we ran for about 6-7 years from this space, and they basically we had a complaint, which was a false allegation, because I took some kids on a 1-foot deep frozen pond that we've used for the last 5 years, all risk assessed. We do with Risky Youth. I've lived in Canada, Sweden, outside Norway. I've worked with youth all over the world, and we've got an impeccable record. So this false allegation, they did their own investigation within 2 days during Christmas and New Year, not the one the one before, and within 2 days they evicted us from the sheds.
So the investigation actually went on. Well, we completed it in a couple of months, but because they refused to cooperate or provide any information, the local area officer asked us to keep the investigation open. So it was actually August it got finally closed, but I've now published the whole of that 50-page investigation.
So yeah, that's on the website. But the interesting bit about it also was that not only did they want to evict us in 2 days, they wanted us to move everything out within 7 days during Christmas and New Year. Gosh. And this is Forestry England, DEFRA. And then the council backed them up, all the funders backed them up. But basically, they came to reclaim the building, or they came to reclaim the building on the 3rd of January, the first day of work. And then we basically said, no, you're not taking possession of it. We're taking possession of it. And there's like a little loophole in squatting, occupation, trespass law.
Well, we got some great advice for from the ASS, the Advisory Service for Squatters, and there was a legal case for us staying there. So those are the pictures in the middle. We went and represented ourselves in court. We got through the first lot, but then the second lot of hearings, the law's an ass, isn't it? And we were so burnt out by that point of all the fighting and legal stuff, and we realised that actually, even if we won, we didn't want to stay there anyway. We was just done with it.
And then also the irony is that, you know, we had 80 policies to be able to function, to work with vulnerable people and children. 80 policies, and there was one false allegation in 8 years, and they evicted us, and it won't give us a 10-year lease. Even though
okay,
nice.
I know who that is.
In court, the case law on legitimate expectation, and there was expectation for us to get a lease. These are some of the partners, well, a lot of the partners we worked with and funders, and they basically all jumped ship. No support at all. So we were like, okay, fine, we can burn the rule book now. So this is why we've had a bit of a change of our branding. So we're trying to emphasize we're different from your average rewilders that want to do sort of fascist conservation and taking people off the land. We want to be radical regenerative rewilders, or radical regen rewilders, or rad regen rewilders. So we're quite different, but you know, we also rewild landscapes, but more on the kind of including the humans.
It is worth saying as well that every cloud has a silver lining, and what we'd found happened with a lot of the funding over time, once we employed people, you know, we're getting this money into the community, then the funders started to kind of grab us by the short and curlies and was asking us to change things about ourselves, which we were really uncomfortable with, but then felt like between a rock and a hard place of like, well, we've got these values, but now people are responsible for us, and you kind of dangle in this carrot of funding. So I think that's a really important message to get out, that everything comes with strings attached. So I think it is all for the best. We actually felt really controlled, and yeah, we've had a lot to reflect on since we left.
So we were like, you know, classic activist burnout, really. I've burnt out a few times just trying to, you know, put everything into it, and then kind of, I suppose, the expectation of other people to put so much energy in as well, because we had such a beautiful project, and it was like there's so many great like results, and people were really thriving from it. So we've got I mean, during the second pandemic, we came over to South Spain and Portugal to work with Reforesta Portugal, doing some syntropic agroforestry, and then we also connected in South Spain. As some people know, Phoenix is familiar with the area near Orgiba, in the Sierra Nevadas, South Spain. And there's an amazing, I'll pass over to Emma, there's an amazing radical midwifery school. We're covering Deluge yet?
Yeah,
A little bit.
I mean, it's everything that you guys are trying to do as well. There's quite a few, I think, the people trying to reclaim their own healthcare, and this is reclaiming midwifery. The word midwife means with woman, and medical, the medical system is not serving women in the UK. You can't have a midwife who's your own. It's just very medicalised, and it's very dangerous, actually. So more and more women are choosing to step outside of that system, as many people are with healthcare and other things. So it linked really, really nicely. I've been a birth worker for about 15 years. So that was how the link started. And yeah, we spent last summer kind of traveling around festivals, didn't we, with Vanessa, and kind of strengthening that bond. And this is a real off-grid organic community over here
for about 30 years, and they've had their struggles and challenges. And you know, I've been on the alternative scene for probably 25-30 years, and it's a really nice vibe around here. And we've also got a unschooling school called Banana Mountain, so I've been working up there a little bit. And there's also alternative education spaces like Steiner, which me and Emma have started studying. Emma's always wanted to study the Steiner education, the teacher qualification. So we're both doing the kindergarten teacher qualification, and it's a really nice model of education. Right? Yeah. So we're in the future now, and I'd say we've sort of recovered from burnout.
Somewhat.
I mean, there's hot springs help as well. There's some nearby here as well. But I feel there's still a lot of stress and worries, and then trying to create a positive change within your own life and what you can control is a really massive lesson for me. And not to be so watching the news, just turn the fucking news off. It's never going to change. It's never going to be positive. So so the future.
So we should have done it the other way around, really. There's our kind of lessons learned. We've reflected lots and lots. So there's some of our
sort of journaling to reflect and sharing together, and looking at, you know, what lessons did we learn. And we realized we need more committed people, like most movements. And we grew too fast too soon, really, with the expectation that people would be doing the work that they said they were going to do. It's sort of classic passive aggressive. Yeah, I'll do it, but actually not do it. And then also we were operating under sociocracy because we really believed in fair decision making, and consensus decision making can be sometimes challenging, more challenging than sociocracy. They've all got their pros and cons. But we believe that sociocracy's S3 is more a traditional anarchist decision-making process, really.
Yeah, I think, well, it's known as a social technology, and a lot of people are doing the training with Sociocracy for All. So that's what we put about 20 staff through using grant funding. We paid them to do the training. We paid for the training. But it didn't actually materialize as we thought it would. So it's, just to put that out there, I'd love to talk to people more about it. I still really believe in it, but we've learned some tough lessons on
Yeah,
how
I
to
guess
implement that.
I guess the early days, because I'm a traveller as well, we're both new travellers and we're like no fixed abode, you know, and trying to run this project from a van or two vans with kids as well is pretty challenging to say the least. But also we learned that, well, we learned that often it's better just to employ activists. And that's the challenge, is that most of the activists are already doing activist work. So, you know, they've got their own projects. It's just, where are all the warriors gone? We've got to try and get a new generation.
So after we sat and reflected, we realised that we do have a lot that we want to share. We want to spend more time with like-minded people in the UK and over here in Spain. I want to do more birth work. We've got a work weekend coming up. We've got various camps and weekend workshops. We're doing a sheepskin tanning workshop as well. And yeah, we'll be at the Green Gathering again. We'll be
We'll be
the
at
Green
the
Scythe Fair.
Green Scythe Fair as well. And then there were, the last 3 years, we've ran the Rewild Craft Village at the Land Workers Alliance Land Skills Fair. So this last one was 1,500 people. We coordinated 45 different craftspeople and supported them, paid them for coming, paid their travel, fed them, totally supported them, as festivals and gatherings should really be doing.
But the difference is, I mean, it sounds like we're doing a lot still. That's ADHD minds for you. But a bit more mindfully of not trying to do everything. We've really scaled back. We're not working from funding anymore, because that is just a big hamster wheel that you're on. We're not going to be employing people. We've got our sound festival crew who we've worked with for a few years, who turn up, get the job done. And that, I think that's the key, is working with people that you know and where you've got a relationship. Am I going on?
Yeah.
Ooh, there we go.
So the classic greenwashing, we have felt this and seen this at the very front line. We were critical of the local Green Party and the local Forest England, and also lots of other people that seem to think that like carbon offsetting is the way forward. And the Forest of Dean wanted to become a UNESCO biosphere, which is being led by one of the leading green guys. We ran for council as well, to try and set up an independent Forest of Dean. So what people forget about is that this UNESCO biosphere is happening all over the world right now, and it's all built upon natural assets. Every living thing is given a carbon credit, which are then sold off to the top 100 FTSE companies that are making 80% of the pollution anyway, to then, write off their carbon. But the real kicker is that when they take over the land, when it becomes a registered UNESCO biosphere, is that you lose all your indigenous rights and they're gone. So Forest of Dean's got lots of unique indigenous rights, from free mining to commoning sheep. We're going to start commoning animals as well. We'll get onto that. But basically, yeah, we were quite critical of it, so it didn't do us any favors. So I guess we're kind of from a background. I'm a background of squatting and land occupation. Emma's done squatting and land occupation, and we want to sort of emphasise that, you know, there's no trespass on stolen land. You know, 400 years ago, the land clearances, which they don't teach at school, obviously, is that it kicked us all off. And the Land Justice Network are really great, and what they're doing, but it's very sort of small scale, and it's all based on right to roam for like one night to sleep in Dartmoor, which is cool. But we want actually people start taking land en masse together, and make a million abuse.
It's exactly what you guys are doing. You know, there's buildings and there's lots of agricultural land there, that can be put to better use. People want to take care of themselves, and it's just the land.
And also,
that's
go
stopping.
back. Sorry, I don't know what that red thing is.
I don't know.
But yeah, Forest of Dean's quite a weird, quirky place. It doesn't like change.
I have a question.
Their local council was the first council to declare a climate emergency, but all they've literally done is put solar panels on the council offices, and they got a hybrid car. This is like 3-4 years ago now, before COVID, and the ivory car for their street board and broke down. That's literally all they've done with this like money or this incentive or movement. We've offered loads of like solutions to them. I've had so many meetings with councils, all not paid for, usual classic, you know. So anyway, so we tried to get in with them, you know, use the devil's tools to dismantle the devil's house, but we didn't get in. Look, unluckily, luckily. So our kind of like solution to all this, and our not all of it, but quite a big start to it, is the SEED, like Community Land Trust, which the SEED stands for Social, Environmental, Educational, Diverse. Some people say it looks like it says sex, but it's not a sex cult. It just says SEED. So the SEED part, yeah, we've seen over and over again that trustees become powerful and they become the bosses of people who are residents. You know, it's a bit like Radical Roots with their housing co-ops, is that, you know, really you need to be, you know, only members can be tenants, only tenants can be members. And we don't want trustees really unless they're living and breathing as part of the same collective.
If anyone knows of Monkton Wild, Simon Fairley, and what happened there last year, it's just an absolute hideous. You know, it's happening all over. We've heard of so many community organisations, grassroots people that got in touch with us through what happened with us last year, and it is a real pattern.
Yeah, it's just a massive land grab, like glamping, and
to protect ourselves against it, because even if you've got a friendly landowner, you know, they could die and then it gets handed down to the daughter, or, you know, there's all sorts of stories that you hear, and we need to have as much security as we can.
Yeah, but obviously squatting or occupying land is no security. But then if enough people are doing it, what can they do? You know, all the councils are bankrupt. You know, what are they going to bring the army out? Bring it on, you know? Like some of the army will probably want to join and start getting on the land. So we, you know, we're quite excited about that. But I guess, like, you know, from learning from our mistakes and looking at community and experiencing community and talking to other people as well that we know in the network and of the scene, we realized we needed more committed people, but we also want a shared vision, and then we want some solid governance, and we also want to look at sort of fair and equal decision making, such as sociocracy, and so a bit of conflict resolution training as well.
So we're going to move on, but yeah, we've thought long and hard about that, and we can have more. We can have more conversations about it.
I want to talk about SEED.
I don't know.
No, one more of those. This like nearly last. Yeah. So the SEED, yeah, SEED is like basically on the landscape with keyline, agroforestry, regenerative agriculture, with Simon Dale hobbit houses in above key points of water, and then mob grazing animals through perennial edible crops, but you can also have annual crops. But also within the SEED trust land, we'll have a community health clinic, natural birth centre, traditional heritage craft centre to keep the skills alive, open access. We also want to have traveller transition sites where people can come and stay for a bit and then move on. And then, you know, we need a stringent joining procedure and also an exit strategy as well. I think, you know, people that experience community, yeah, there's not many good communities that are functioning. And, you know, conflict is natural. Conflict does happen. It's not like you're going to be no conflict. But, you know, if we kind of like try to visualize and like paint this sort of dream, then there's more chance of it happening. But access to land, it all comes back to access to land. And we can build our own structures. We can build our own infrastructure. You know, we don't really want to take on old buildings that are not fit for purpose and then spend all the money fixing them, because then it's just, you know, the council will be like, yeah, sure, have that building, as long as you fix it. And they tie you up in knots with, you know, oh, you've got to maintain this. Oh, that's like really ancient, that you've got, you know, yeah, the planning, we just don't want to have any permission whatsoever. We're just like, yeah, well, we tried permission, but then you screwed us over. So we've burnt the rule book and we're doing it our way now.
That's all debatable. I think
that's all debatable. I get excited by this.
That needs a lot of people across the UK to all do it at the same time.
I mean, Landworkers Alliance, some people are interested in Landworkers Alliance with Jyoti and stuff. And Jyoti Fernandez is like, you know, they're a radical organisation. They're a radical landworking union. They're one of the biggest unions in the world. So, you know, it's all about trying to get access to land again. But
yeah, absolutely. I'm with you a lot of the way there. I mean, there's, you know, really inspiring what you guys are doing. Maybe we should, if you want to wrap something up there, there's probably quite a lot of questions from people. Want to say your last bits and then we'll go over to questions, because what you're doing is amazing. The amount of stuff you showed in them slides is incredible. You should have 6 centres by now. Do you want to do your tail end, and then anybody who's got a question, down the reactions button down the bottom, you can stick your hand up like that and we can see who's 1, 2, 3. Scott and Emma, last bits there before questions.
But the ways that you can get involved and support us at the moment, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We've got our website there, which is still the rewildproject.com. That's not changed over to Radical Regenerative Rewilders yet. On the newsletter, on the website, you can sign up to the newsletter. You can book onto one of our workshops, camps, work weekends. We've just got all those listed for the year. There may be more coming as well. And there's also a place where you can sign up as a monthly member. So that would help us hugely to just know we've got like a small income each month, just to helping things tick over. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks for listening, everyone. So yeah, look forward to hearing your questions.
Brilliant, absolutely. Hats off. That's amazing. The incredible number of projects you are doing there, and the number of people's lives you have touched with what you're doing is phenomenal, guys. I'm a person who's run many centres myself. I'm sure there's so many people who've been through your workshops and come to see you at the Green Gathering. Truly inspiring. We need more of spaces sharing the kind of skills you're talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're on about 13-15 minutes to. We can run over by 5 minutes if we need. If you would like to ask the wonderful Scott and Emma from their wealth of experience any questions, there's a reaction hand down the bottom, or you can just wave your hand. But it's easier if you do this. Down the bottom, there's a little smiley face with a reaction. You can stick a hand up if you've got a question. Over there, first off, Jane, West Wales, University Challenge. Over.
Thanks very much. That was really interesting. There was loads and loads of food for thought in there. And you're giving me some homework to do, okay? Because I need to particularly find out about what you were talking around about decision making, socialocracy for all, I think is what you called it. So I need to go look that up. Is it a little bit like citizens' assemblies, people's assemblies? Is it that, or is it something?
No, well, yes, it's a decision-making tool and a way of structuring organisations. So you have circles that are completely autonomous, and there's specific ways of making decisions within those circles and the ways that they interact with each other. So basically you have a general circle that doesn't make any decisions, that just pushes decisions out to the other circles.
And you can't really block people, a bit like consensus. You know, you can basically, people decide to give you a sort of trial of time to try your idea out. There's lots of actual corporate businesses use this as well. There's a book called Sociocracy for All, and it talks about teal organizations.
Reinventing organizations.
Reinventing organizations is the classic book, and it talks about like certain corporations using this model and being really successful. But what I really love about it is that, you know, if it's good enough for now and safe enough to try, then you know, people's ideas are allowed to flourish.
Right. There is a Sociocracy web page there in the been put in the chat by Andy very helpfully. If there's any useful information, web links, afterwards, please put them up. Jane, that's a good question. Sociocracy, yes. Does that help, Jane? Okay, cool. George, is that the George of the Miles fame? George, coming in from border of England and Wales. You got a question? You got to unmute if you want.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, one might sound like a robe. Anyway, yeah. I'm sorry. I was late and I've lunched a week out, but I've got this Land as Ours website is moribund, and this is the sort of stuff we should be putting on the Land as Ours website, basically. And I saw several articles what you were talking about there, or you know, just a little bit in a link. So if you get it to me, then I'll try and pull my finger out and get into action. We've got 3 days of rain now, so I'm not going outdoors. It was really going when we did the Wandsworth Eco Village was done by the Land as Ours when George Monbiot was in it, and loads of things were, and it's just turned into a few old blokes not doing very much, which it shouldn't be. It should be revitalised with young sappers like you two waving. So I'll put the website thing there. Are you actually going to send us something into it, and then that'll make me do some work on it? There, glio.org.uk.
I mean, what I always think about.
I'll put one of Bieber's poems on it as well.
And I'm still quite old school. I'm from like the days of like Earth First when it's really bouncing and Reclaim the Fields, and you know the land is ours.
Sorry, we're losing the last bit after Reclaim the Fields. Stop.
Yeah, okay.
Well, do you want to join Landers Ours and take it over and be secretary? He's secretary basically, and do it. You know, it's sitting there. It's a WordPress website, and it's got loads of old stuff in it, but not much new. There's a few things going in it.
Yeah, I checked it out.
I think George needs to mute. Yeah.
George, if you mute while Scott's talking, Scott.
Yeah, so basically, I'm trying to think of his name now. Phoenix will probably know him. The prolific journalist from Bristol who does like shitloads of like
Tony
Gosling, yeah, Tony Gosling. He came to interview us about our strife with Forest of England and them stealing our craft centre. It was quite, yeah, he's good. I like his regular news things, and yeah, he's pretty on it, isn't he?
Yeah, I think we'll put something in there to say. So George has got the Land Is Ours website still. Put something.
And Tony's actually post more than me now.
Okay, so just to say a few bits from my end as well, because as Scott's reckon, we've been very similar timelines and things. You know, just listening there, you guys and watching the photos, absolutely incredible. If anyone else got any questions, stick your hand up in a second. But I just want to bung my two penneth in. Land is absolutely key to everything we do. It's the basis of everything, really, and we need a more fair redistribution of land. We need people to be able to live in a more resilient way and to build homes or grow their food in harmony with nature in better ways. And whatever it is, 1% or 5% of the population owns 75% of the land. We need to work out ways that we can live more in harmony with nature, and the kind of workshops that I saw one after another that you guys are doing, getting in local youth involved, the heritage skills that are dying off and being lost. One of the things you said about water sovereignty really got me. I mean, people talk about food sovereignty. Haven't heard anyone but you talk about water sovereignty. Very, very important. The things that aren't waste, what we call waste in our society, Native Americans would use every single piece of the animal or whatever it is, and building that circular economy and what we need to do. A lot of these skills are also, what's to say, there's a lot of talk about climate doom and too much talk about collapse and things. And I know people on our scene have been talking about things collapsing for 30 years before it became more fashionable in the last 5. And preparing for things and whatever it is. I'm a survivalist at my base, programming or whatever you want to call it. But if people are really keep pushing the collapse scenario, they need to know how to live from the land and live from some of these skills like you've described, and we all need to help each other, share resources, and I think what you're doing is absolutely incredible. Let's try and find you guys another centre. I hope some people step forward from seeing this, and we can find some other land where you can do stuff, and the great birthing project as well that Vanessa and others are doing and things. Folks, it's been really fascinating. We're in the last 6 minutes. We've run over by 5. Everyone, any more questions, feedback, anything you want to say? Share with the group about tonight or things?
Just to reply to you on that, Phoenix, as well. I think I've just started to come to the realization as well that if you've seen 3 Acres and a Cow and the history of land rights, I've always been a prepper. Since I was 18, I used to stash loads of tins and have a dinghy in the loft just in case everything collapsed and we flooded.
But also,
so I think it's in us anyway, but things need to move on, and it's about us having these skills. It's not about us stockpiling. It's about getting these skills and the resilience to the kids. This is where the Steiner education comes in, like creativity. And I don't think we're going to fix these problems in our lifetime, which doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. We've got into this mess over a long period of time, and we've been in a rush to this is what's led to our burnout, is like trying to fix it now. But it's a it's a longer journey that we're on, isn't it? Just doing what we can do.
I've been visualizing industrial capitalism to collapse for the last 25 years or so, and it's been so close so many times, but it's actually not happened. But then I'm just tired of protesting. I'm just tired of just protesting. You
Check,
know,
check.
just fucking ultimate.
Yeah. Check out in the chat what Marcel just put in there. Maybe so that's there. Just to come straight back at it, for many years I've worked on the theory that it's the survival of the most cooperative. And if things get really bad, your best things are to be in community, to help each other and to share resources. And that's why one of the reasons we've helped set up 25 climate emergency centres in old vacant properties all across the UK in the last 2.5 years. And hopefully 50 within the next 2 years is the longer term strategy. And from there, they identify other bits of buildings and warehouses and link with land climate emergency centres so that people can learn and have space to grow food and share skills and hopefully build these resilient networks that can deal with the storms that are to come. You know, when Occupy Sandy and Hurricane Katrina came in, it was people's organisations that did the best and got there the quickest to help with food, blanket, survival for a lot of people. We need to, governments are not coming to save us. We need to organise in our communities. Find a piece of land, find a climate emergency centre. Marcel, do you want to say what you were just saying there to, lift the spirits of the rewilders? Because we never know what we do and how it affects people. Marcel, from the old Rainbow Centre crew. And then
Nottingham. The old Nottingham crew.
There I am. I moved. I just wanted to say what you have achieved in the Forest of Dean is still affecting each individual that you helped there in a positive way, and they'll always remember you. And I'm so incredibly impressed with what you've done, and I know you're going to go on to do more and more and more and more. All power to your elbow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. I'm going to come across to Debs there. He's beamed in, and I don't know, George, is that's hand early or another one. We're in the finals. Might run to 5 because such an interesting subject. 5 minutes past. Debs, lovely to see you.
Hi, nice to see you too. It really interesting, and it's like something that's in my brain that we need to do, like to go into like council estates and kind of rewild them and prepare people to like. I'm a prepper. I know I'm a prepper, like, but I don't hoard stuff and I don't hoard food and things like that. So I'm prepared to like go and survive, I think. But like, it was like, we've been offered a building and it was like last week I was like, oh, do I want this building? But I've had a look at it, and then where it's near, it's like near Arkwright House, and Arkwright invented the Industrial Revolution, so it's kind of fitting that would really, because the Industrial Revolution is what started this shit. So yeah. I'm tired.
Yeah.
It is. I think about the Industrial Revolution and our quest for making life easier and how it's brought us to this. But, you know, it's all part of the evolution that we have to go through. And, you know, we've reached this level where it's not actually serving us now, chasing this easy life. You know, there's got to be a balance, hasn't there, that nourishes us. Yeah. How many people are killing themselves that have got an easy so-called life? It's so easy they don't want to live it, or it's not easy because of how they've been disempowered. And
but also kind of a like silver lining in a way. I've got a lot of ancestral skills friends, and I've lived like ancestrally in Sweden and Norway and Britain, and like we did a bit in Canada. But what they always say is that if the shit really hits the fan, you know, if we're taken out by a solar flare or whatever, then he said it's going to take us 3 generations to get back to being on the earth and being in sync again, being like truly indigenous and skill-based and living cooperatively. So, you know, at some point, we're like the start, really, I feel.
So, really inspiring and interesting conversation tonight. We really need to look at the realisms of where our civilizations are going and how we can adapt, adopt, improve or survive, and in fact move to thriving is what we really need to do. Any parting comments, feedback or anything? We'll run till 5 past. Helen over in sunny Leeds.
Yeah, it was just something I came across today, and it was someone basically saying, if you haven't, you know, if where you live is shit and whatever, just get out there and try and make it better. And it doesn't matter that at first you'll probably make a mess of it. And I think a lot of people are put off in a way, no offense, like seeing these people who've done so much, and think, well, I could never do all that, so they don't start. But just to do anything, because none of us come into this world, we aren't born knowing how to rewild the world. You just get on with it. Just you do your best and you ask for help. And I think if we can push that, you don't have to be good at this, just be passionate about it. I think that's quite an important message.
And it starts from within as well. You know, you can't go out and change the world. Change starts from you. And I started out living in a house. I mean, I travelled years ago, but then got stuck in a house with the kids, and all I could do was recycle. And you know, the little bit here. And it was only when I thought, do you know what are we doing? But it came from me. You know, you've got to change yourself and do your little bit, and then it grows from there. And my frustration grew so much, I thought, you're not changing anything, actually. You know, I just was drawn to getting out and being on the land, and yeah, systemic change is where it's at, people coming together, and that will happen in all different ways in different places.
I guess what's really sad as well as like organisers and trying to create positive change is that we've had our fair share of attacks, and it seems like either people are paralysed to help, or for whatever reason they can't help. But then sometimes they rather kick us, especially when we're down, than actually boost us up. You know, all this stuff we're trying to do, we still get, you know, but this is where we've got to try not to take things personally. You know, we try and follow the sort of Toltec principles, and that's one of them, try not to take things personally.
Yeah, well, it's personal.
We're all so
resilience,
traumatized. Yeah,
personal resilience and dealing with trauma. And
yeah, I was going to say about Nick Hayes, the Book of Trespass, very good book as well.
We've actually, that's a good point to kind of wind up on. We've got Nick Hayes, the writer of the Trespass book, coming. I think he's booked in for March to come and do a webinar, and he writes about a lot of these things. And obviously, you know, we need a fundamental change, really, for people to start looking at, you know, access to land is one of the biggest questions, really. And, you know, we can be more sustainable if we, you know, share the experience with more people. So, folks, we're on about 3 minutes past. We usually run till 8. If you want to put 1 to 3 words in the chat about what you thought about tonight, thank you very much to Scott and Emma for beaming in and telling us about all the incredible, so much in those slides that you are helping and touch so many people's lives. Keep going, guys. Keep doing it. Let's get more places, spaces set up where people can share these really, really essential skills to tune in with the land and nature and other things. Thank you for inspiration. I'll give you the last word, Scott and Emma, and anyone who wants to put 1, 2, 3 words in the chat or share us your email or beam in for another one. Scott and Emma, parting words. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Yeah,
for
just
coming.
be the change, you know, be the change. Let's just get on it.
Yeah, power to the people.
All the power.
All right. I'm going to save the
Some
chat.
people don't deserve any power.
Well, we'll just eat them or use them for fuel.
On a happier note. All right, guys. Sharing is caring. Let's have a cooperative future and share some land and space for a sustainable, better future. Any other parting comments from anyone who hasn't spoke? All right, I'm going to end the recording there for now.